They have trauma supplies, and as they go forward, all the airways. I want to update our community on our new predatory offender.
Good morning, my name is Mark Arns, captain here at Farmington Fire Station number 2. Today we're going to talk about ambulance services in our area. We have Kurt Widener, ambulance operations manager for the ALF sector for Line Emergency Services with us today. Kurt, good morning, and what does ALF stand for?
It stands for Apple Valley, Lakeville, Farmington.
And can you give us a little history of the ALF ambulance service?
Yeah, so back in 1985, actually prior to that, these 3 cities, along with some other cities in the South Metro area here, were serviced by Divine Redeemer Ambulance. And in 1984, Burnsville Fire Department decided they wanted their own ambulance service, so they started that in 1984, and then in 1985, the 3 cities of Apple Valley, Lakeville, and Farmington decided that they wanted to start their own ambulance. So they entered into what's called a joint powers agreement, and they started the service that way. The ALF board still owns the license for the area, but they're just contracting with Alina to provide the service. We did in 2016 about 7,300 calls, and about 60% of those patients get transported to Fairview Ridges in Burnsville.
So where are the ambulances housed at?
They're all housed in fire stations. We have our report to work location, which is Apple Valley Fire Station number 1, and that's where our crews come in and they get all their equipment and get the truck, and then they will get moved to another station potentially. We have 2 stations. One is Fire Station number 3 in Lakeville, and another one's Fire Station number 2 in Lakeville. We also have a posting location in Farmington, which is in this station right here, Farmington Fire Station number 2.
How do you backfill into, or how do you get more ambulance services or ambulances into the area to take calls?
Being part of Alina Health Emergency Medical Services, we have other divisions that we cover, other cities we cover, and one area is our South Metro division. And some of those ambulances will come down and actually provide coverage into the area down here when we're out on, all of our trucks are out on calls.
So what does the paramedic have to do to get ready for calls, to train for calls? What do you do there?
The education that our paramedics go through, all of them go through a paramedic program, which is typically a 2-year program now, and there are several different education programs around the area that provide the paramedic degree, and that's basically the education they go through. As far as once they get hired by us, we have internal education that we go through to keep up on skills and put in new equipment, new procedures, things like that.
Kurt, thanks for coming out today to Farmington to talk about the Line Emergency Services and the history of the ALF area.
Thanks
Is
for
there
having
any
me.
way we can go see an ambulance or something?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we'll look at that after the chief's chair.
Hello, I'm Mitchell Scott, Rosemount Police Department's Chief of Police. Today I'd like to talk to you about our Community Resource Officer's position. You know, law enforcement is just not really going out there and arresting the criminals. Although that's our primary job, we also have to have interactions with the community, and we try to help them as much as we can. We try to have that relationship, to build relationships with the community to make us a better group as a whole. And one of those positions we have for our department that helps us build those relationships would be our Community Resource Officer. Our Community Resource Officer focuses on the middle school as a portion for a school resource officer's job, just a small part, but she also focuses on our crime prevention. Night to Unite, she represents that as well. We started programs with Shop with the Cop. We have here in Rosemount, I guess, Public Safety in the Park, which last year was huge. It really was. We did the biggest safety in the park than we have ever had. And this year, we started a program earlier on that's kind of unique. We partnered with a youth athletic program here, and the kids, along with officers, bagged groceries at Cub Foods. We raised over $1,100. And then we took that money and we were able to purchase 47 pair of tennis shoes and 50 pair of socks. So here we are, we split the shoes between the middle school and the high school, and then they will make sure the kids who are in need of new tennis shoes get shoes free of charge. The shoes will just be given to them, and the kids won't have to worry about paying for them, nor will their families. So another program here we have implemented. We're going to make sure it grows, and we're going to find a good name for it. Make sure it fits not only the Rosemount Police Department, but the actual need of what it's doing. So that's just another example of how we're reaching out to the community, how we're reaching out to them to help them meet their needs that they can't get. There's so many programs that our community resource officer does. I can't even list many of them. But I can tell you another one. We just partnered with the Apple Valley Police Department this year, and for our first year ever, we have completed a teen academy. And I think later on in this episode, you're going to actually hear more about that. So without any further information regarding that, I will go ahead and let them take care of that. If you are ever interested in the Rosemount Police Department and what our community resource officer does, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We will be more than happy to share our resource officer's information, and she can help you guys do many different things. I appreciate it. You guys have a good day.
Hi, I'm Fire Chief Nealon Thompson with the Apple Valley Fire Department, and today I want to talk a little bit about home fire sprinkler systems. It's the only place left in America that fire sprinklers are not required, but yet that's where 85% of the deaths in America related to fire occur. There are over 2,500 fire deaths in the United States occurring in homes, the place we feel the safest. But yet the fire code does not require currently in all states, including Minnesota, that homes, new constructed homes, have fire sprinklers in them. The cost of adding a fire sprinkler to your newly constructed home is about $1.35 per square foot. That's a savings of peace of mind that your family is going to be safe. Fire sprinklers do save lives and reduce the amount of damage caused by a fire if you have a fire in your home. Ultimately, we want to prevent that fire. But if there is a fire, a sprinkler system has a 0 response time, where a fire department has a 5, 6, 7 minute response time. And in that 5, 6, 7 minutes, fires will exponentially grow. If you do build a new house, or you're remodeling or upgrading your home, please consider fire sprinklers. They don't go off like the movies say. If you ever watch a movie and you see the guy in the bathroom with a lighter or with a little bit of a fire, he lights off or hits the sprinkler head, and all 25 or everybody in the banquet or everybody in the apartment gets wet. That's not the case. Home fire sprinklers and all fire sprinklers only go off as needed. Usually it's 1 to 3 sprinkler heads that reduce or control or extinguish the fire. It's not all of them. So that's a misnomer, that fire sprinklers do not produce more water damage, because a fire department is going to use 10 times the amount of water a home fire sprinkler system does to extinguish that fire. So your fire sprinkler is less water damage than the fire department coming in and putting out that fire. Fire sprinklers also don't break or have problems, no more than your domestic water system. So if you don't have leaks in your house around your plumbing, your toilets, your faucets, your showers, you're not going to have any more leaks with a fire sprinkler system. The other thing we want to discuss is that fire sprinklers only go off when there is a true fire or high heat, which is normally a fire in a residential home. They don't go off because you burnt the toast. They don't go off because somebody left the hair dryer got a little overheated. They don't go off because somebody's smoking cigarettes in the house. They only go off when there's a high heat temperature at the ceiling where the fire sprinkler is, usually about 165. That's almost 3 times what your house is normally heated at. People are normally keeping their house in the mid 60s, maybe 70-degree range. You've got to double that at a minimum, if not almost triple that, to get a sprinkler head to go off. So, I hope I've dispelled some of the myths around fire sprinklers. And if you're building a new home or remodeling your home anytime in the future, please consider adding fire sprinklers. You'll also get an insurance break rate on your homeowner's property insurance. So not only is it a peace of mind that your family is safe and that you're going to reduce the possible loss of life, but you're also going to benefit by all the things I talked about. If you have any questions, please call your local fire department. They can help educate you about home fire sprinklers and let you know which way to go. I've been Nealon Thompson with the Apple Valley Fire Department, and now back to Farmington Fire for a tour of an ambulance.
Here we are at the back of the ambulance, and as you see when we first open up the doors, you see the stretcher. This does have up to a 700-pound capacity that they use for. In the back, everything's set up, designed for working on a patient. They have trauma supplies, and as they go forward, all the airway supplies are towards the front of the ambulance. There's a heart monitor there. Obviously personal protection with gloves, and then they have their medications off to the right side. All the way up front is all of their jump bags that they use to carry inside the house with, and it's all set up ready to go. So there are usually two people in an ambulance, one person up driving and one doing the patient care in the back, or the attendant. They can carry up to a patient on the stretcher. They can also have a second patient if they need it on a backboard on the bench seat here, or sitting in a seat in the back. We also, as a first responder here in Farmington, we also ride with the ambulance crew depending upon the severity of the call to give help to the attendant in the back of the ambulance on the way to the hospital.
Hello, I'm Detective Dan Shima with the Apple Valley Police Department. In February, the Apple Valley Police Department held its annual department meeting. During the meeting, Apple Valley police officers were recognized for the outstanding work they did in 2016. Officer Alan Spillers was named the Officer of the Year. Officer Spillers has been with the Apple Valley Police Department since 2000. Community Service Officer Sean Marbin was named the Employee of the Year. CSO Marbin has been with the Apple Valley Police Department since 2014. Many other awards were presented during the event. Congratulations to all the award recipients. Apple Valley police officers and employees perform at a high level each and every day and represent the community with the utmost professionalism. The Apple Valley City Council recently changed where registered sex offenders can reside within the city. Here to tell us more about that is Captain Nick Francis.
Thanks, Dan. I wanted to update our community on our new predatory offender residency restriction. Apple Valley currently has 64 predatory offenders living in our community. The City Council recently amending the city code and restricting where predatory offenders can reside. So briefly, to explain this ordinance, a predatory offender, as described by the city ordinance, is someone who has committed a predatory or sexual offense, and either the victim was 16 years of age or under, or that predatory offender is categorized as a level 3 sex offender, which is most likely to reoffend. They are restricted from living within 1,500 feet of schools, public parks, places of worship, and daycare centers. It's also a violation for someone to rent to a predatory offender. So the one important thing that does not apply to predatory offenders who currently live in our community. Those folks were considered grandfathered in, so to speak, and they would be not restricted to reside where they are. If they were going to move within Apple Valley, then the restriction would take place. If there's questions about the ordinance, you can certainly visit the website, and there's a direct link to all the city ordinances, and you can look up the predatory offender ordinance at any time. Thanks.
Since January, the Apple Valley Police Department and Rosemont Police Department have partnered to host a Teen Police Academy. Here's a look at what was covered in the academy.
Just follow the stairs and then walk. Go right up the stairs and follow it up there.
Tonight we're starting the Teen Police Academy, which is a joint venture between the Apple Valley and Rosemont Police Departments. This is our 13th year offering the Teen Police Academy, and this year we're partnering with the Rosemont Police Department. The first week after meeting the chiefs of Apple Valley and Rosemont Police Departments, the teens took a tour of the Apple Valley Police Department, where they were shown a squad car and heard about the Apple Valley Bike Patrol.
Over here you see a couple bicycles. We do have bike patrol in Apple Valley, so when the weather's nice, some of our officers, instead of driving around in a squad car, they'll actually just hop on a bike.
The second week was in Rosemont, and the MAG unit and the Dakota County Drug Task Force were there to meet the kids and show them some of the equipment that they use to do their jobs. The MAG unit, which is this area's version of SWAT, showed the teens some of the equipment they use to search houses.
Listen with this too, so we can actually hear as well as see.
Okay, so this is the Bearcat, okay? This is the armored vehicle that we use to, it's pretty much a game changer for keeping us safe.
The next time they visited Apple Valley, they heard from an officer about traffic enforcement and explaining why it was important and The Apple Valley Canine team, Zach and Duke, also visited the teens and told them a little bit about the dog, and later they all got a chance to pet the dog. The following week, the students went to Rasmussen College and got to role play through some police training scenarios. In a darkened room, the Milo system runs police officers through situations and tests how they respond to the conditions. When the teens visited the Rosemont Police Department, they found a crime scene that had been set up for them by the Rosemont officers.
Okay, so you see a body, you believe it appears that he's shot.
While some of the teens were working on the crime scene, other teens were given several objects to try to take fingerprints from. In the last week of the academy, the teens heard a talk about the dangers of driving while intoxicated. Some of the students performed field sobriety tests that an officer would use on a real traffic stop. Also, any teen that wanted could drive the Sydney, which is a go-kart that mimics the effects of impaired driving. The students were allowed to drive through a course set up for them by the Apple Valley Police Department.
I found it was be very interesting because we have family friends that are in the law enforcement, and I just kind of had like a respect for them, and so I wanted to see how they perform. I think mostly it's graduation, and I did like when the drug task force came in because that is, well, my family member's like favorite setup. I think that for like any future reference that this is kind of like a really good program when you're interested in police or like police like force. It'd be a very interesting thing to do.
I would like to thank the Rosemont Police Department for partnering with Apple Valley this year in setting up the academy, and for the students that took part. They definitely made it fun. We plan on offering the academy again in January of 2018. Check city's websites and social media for further details.
That is all from the Apple Valley Police Department. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Tim Barrett, a captain with the Rosemount Fire Department. And we have some exciting things going on here at the Rosemount Fire Department. One of them is that we are getting a new rescue pumper that will replace a 20-plus-year-old rescue truck. The rescue truck that we used was basically used for medicals, used to be used for car accidents and water rescues. So it's kind of the piece of equipment that we are getting is more a versatile piece of equipment. We'll be able to use it on medicals, car accidents, and structure fires. This vehicle will be housed out of this station at Station 1. This truck will be also a piece of equipment that if Rosemont Fire ever does go to duty crew, this piece of equipment would be used by our duty crew. Also at Rosemont Fire Department, we do a couple fundraisers. This coming June, we'll have a fundraiser golf tournament out at Emerald Greens Golf Course. Along with that, in July, the first week of Leprechaun Days, we will be having a waffle breakfast at Station 1. So that will be out in publication, and look forward to people joining us, playing in the golf outing, and also coming down for the waffle breakfast. Those are the exciting things going on here at the Rosemount Fire Department, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. Thanks again.
Hi, this is Officer Steve Kuiper with Farmington Police Department. Welcome to the show again this week. A couple of items with Farmington this year in 2017 is we are actually going to be hiring to replace an officer who will be retiring this year. So we have started to accept applications, and it's the first time we've hired in the last 7 years in Farmington. They are scheduled to start possibly around June 5th of this year. Also, we have a new canine officer, Officer Lutz, and he's got his new dog, Caesar, and he has started the St. Paul Canine training program, and he started that on March 6th, and that goes until May 25th when he graduates, and he should be back on the street with his new dog, Caesar, also in June. On the last ending note, Farmington was ranked in the top 10 safest cities in the state of Minnesota, which shows the dedication and the professionalism of the department and the officers, male and female here, that are out to protect you, our citizens. Thank you.
And that's all for this episode of In the Line of Duty, and we'll see you next time.